Hi everyone, Marika here with a clean and simple card tutorial showing you how to kind of upgrade that simple ombre blended background with some stencils and some gel to make it pop just that little extra. And to finish it off, I'm using some chipboard pieces by Make It Crafty. So I start off with some Canson MONTVAL watercolor cardstock. This cardstock has a little bit of texture, and that is actually what I'm after. So I'm blending some twisted Citron and some pine needles distress ink on top of the cardstock. I finish off with the twisted Citron, kind of just blending those two together to kind of just make it a little bit more gradually in the middle. The next step is going to be the 3D gel. So I start with a stencil from Create a Smile Stamps, and I tape it onto the back side of the piece so that I can get the stencil on the full piece of cardstock. And then to stick it to my craft mat, I'm using some tape and taping down the stencil instead of the project. So then I can just fill it completely. I do recommend cutting it out into the shape you want it before you add the 3D gel, but yeah, I didn't, but it kind of worked anyhow. So I'm using some 3D glossy gel by Prima. This is like a texture paste, but it is in gel form. It dries clear and it's a little bit kind of softer. Doesn't build that much texture, but it will build when you work it with stencils. So I'm using one of these plastic spatulas. I think I got 5 in a set. They were super affordable and super easy to use. I use this directly out of the little jar right now. I'm just pushing it down. I'm going in an angle with the grain of the stencil kind of, so I'm going with the lines, and this is if I would work kind of in the other diagonal direction, I would actually get stuck in the different parts of the stencil and probably get gel underneath it. So this is a tip. If you have a hard time using stencils, try to work with the lines of a stencil and you will get a much easier result. And after I feel that I have enough gel, I'm just adding the rest of it back into the jar, and then I'm removing the stencil and the tape, and you want to clean off the stencil and the spatula and your craft surface as soon as possible, because you don't want it to dry on you. Then I'm going to use these chipboard pieces by Make It Crafty. It has that kind of silhouette background and then the main text. I'm going to leave the silhouette background just the color it is because I really liked it and I thought it would fit with this card. However, this script is saying I am going to heat emboss. So I'm starting off with some Versamark ink and just kind of making it sticky all over, using a paper underneath just because it makes it a little bit easier. Then I'm using my tweezers and I'm covering it in some gold Whispers embossing powder. The Whisper embossing powder is very similar to the Ranger ones. So in color, if you want the same golden one, and I can't find the Whisper, I'm not sure if I can, I had this for ages. The Ranger is actually very much the same color. And I didn't find my little bucket of Ranger, and that is why I'm using the Whisper one. But hey, I've had these for years and years and years, and I don't run out of them. So you can use them for so long. So I really recommend, if you to invest in a couple of buckets of embossing powder. You can do so much with them, and you can use them for so many years. They never go bad. To add these together, I'm using some multimedia matte glue. I really love using this when it is different kind of materials, like here it's chipboard pieces. Paper to paper, I really love the Lawn Fawn glue tape. It's our glue tube, that's the word of it. But for these kind of things, the multimedia matte is still my absolute favorite. I just put this to dry for a bit. The background I left to dry for 24 hours because yeah, but it was actually dry to the touch just after a couple of hours, but I just continue working. As you saw there, I cut my little sentiment piece apart because it said we wish you a Merry Christmas, and I just didn't want the Christmas because I already had that on my little piece. So I'm just cut it apart. This is Tweety Holidays by My Favorite Things that I'm using for my sentiments. I'm stamping that onto some black cardstock after using my heat embossing tool, like one of those powder tools. I stamped it in Versamark ink, and I heat embossed it in the Hero Arts fine white embossing powder. It's my favorite white embossing powder of everyone, and I'm still on my first little bucket of that. So yeah, I cut this down to be just a little black stripe, and I'm going to put that on top of the Christmas like that. When my little background has dried, I cut it out with a rectangular stitched die. Kind of recommend doing that before, because I got some pieces stuck into it because I have very well used cutter boards, but you can do it this way. It did work doing that way. And then I'm using a tape runner and just taping it directly down to my card base, which is a card base made from 80-pound Nina. When I'm doing kind of big layers like this, the 80-pound is a really great weight because it doesn't get too thick. And then I'm using again some of that multimedia matte to glue this down. And here I think I actually do need the multimedia matte to make it stick onto that gel. And as you see, the gel has make it much more deeper color, and then you have that texture and lighter color where the gel isn't. I really enjoy that. Then I'm putting up the Christmas, or putting down the Christmas just with the glue. I'm adding a little bit of foam tape on top of the back of the strip to make it pop a little bit from the background. All the supplies I'm using you can find in the description down below. And then I'm lining that up to the edge and just on top of the sentiment, and that is the card for today. I hope you liked this card and this tutorial. If you do, please thumbs it up. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, just comment down below. Down below you find all the details. Here you find 2 other videos of mine. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!